Hello Piggy people. So Apple will be going for her vet appointment tomorrow morning. They are going to do an x-ray first to see what's up, but my educated guess is that she has stones and that one is blocking her urethra again. So we'll see, and then from there my vet will give me a game plan of what they're going to do. So last time they couldn't remove the stone manually, it was quite stuck in the end of her urethra, so they had to do a cut to get it out, and it came out along with a couple other ones. Now she always did have one that was way high up in her urethra, like a mini one, that stayed even on our next x-ray after that. It was still in the same spot. So I don't know what we're gonna find, but I gotta do something for her because she's uncomfortable. Every single night her bum is absolutely soaked. She strains to pee. Her pee doesn't come out in like a streamline, it comes out in spurts, so there's definitely something blocking it. But it's really upsetting just because this has been only 4 months, so that doesn't feel like very much time has passed since the last one, so kind of makes it seem like this is going to be a chronic issue, which is not good, because then it kind of comes into play of like what's reasonable to keep putting her through. Because last time when I did do the procedure for her, it was a rough couple days, well, probably a rough week to be honest, for her to recover and to be feeling okay, because they had to make a cut, so peeing was painful and she just felt like absolute crap. So I'm gonna have to try to come up with a game plan to do something a little different for her diet, to see if there's anything I can do to help her not make any more stones. So I cleaned everybody out a night early because today's Thursday, so usually cage cleaning night's Friday night, but since Apple's going to be coming home from her procedure, most likely, tomorrow, the last thing I want to do is have to clean cages while I'm trying to look after her. So everybody got cleaned out so that tomorrow night I'll have just tidy up versus full cage clean. So the herd's cage I have ready for Apple to have a little recovery area for herself. So it's a 1x3. I have, you'll see a cord there that I can plug in later that has the heat pad underneath this snuggle sack. And there's a cuddle cup back there. And then up in this section I'm going to put hay, her water. I'll see if I can fit like a little pellet dish back there. But just for at least the first night, it's going to depend how she does. So last time when she came home, the first night she needed to be separated from the herd because she was totally out of it. I needed to keep her warm and I wanted to be able to watch her input and output. So we'll see how she does. But definitely I think for the first night for sure, just so nobody's pushing her around, so she has hay and water super close. And so I can see that she's pooping and peeing. Because that's probably the only downside of when you have a herd and you have one pig that's not feeling well. It is harder to keep track of their poops and their pee and what they're eating and drinking. So that's what I have her set up so that she's close to everybody. She'll have her heat pad and be warm. I'm nervous about it because like anytime you have to put your pig under anesthesia, there's risks, and it always feels like it's scarier when they're not feeling right or they're older. So Apple's 4, like over 4. She'll be about 4.5 coming up soon. So I mean, she is a senior because average lifespan is 5 to 7 years, and you never know which end of the spectrum your pigs will fall. I've had pigs who, like Kelvin, reached 7. I've had pigs who've passed away at 5. So you have no clue. So I feel very bad for her that she's a senior and she should just get to live out her senior life in peace. But now here we are again with bladder stones round 2. So she's in there, in case you guys are wondering, snoozing. Yeah, so that's about it. Like, I'll update you guys more with what actually ends up happening and the procedure and all that. Oh, I really hope that if it is something blocking her urethra, they can get it out easier than last time. But they'll have to do what they have to do. So obviously, even if she has a stone in her urethra, there's the possibility she could have stones still in her bladder. So I guess time will tell, and I'll just have to wait and see what they tell me tomorrow. I will be at work, so my mom's going to drop her off in the morning for me, and then they'll call me to tell me what's going on, and then my husband will be able to pick her up for me, and then I'll be home not too much long after. So yeah, so let's see everybody else. So Annabelle, Annalise, I changed their cage a little bit. Usually I have their hay piles back under the back part, but I'm trying to bring them up closer and trying to have these girls to eat side by side so that they can get a little bit more used to each other, so that hopefully we'll be able to rebond them. I changed these guys around a little bit too. Usually their hay was at this end. Now I put it over under that end, and it kind of makes their cage feel more open. So I still kept a water bottle and some pellets there so that they're still chatting it up with Annie, because they do like to see her. I do believe Angus is back behind that huge pile. That pile was way over, so I'm going to have to shove it back over. Hi, Miss Autumn. How are you? So Miss Autumn, eventually I am going to have her get spayed. So she reminds me a bunch of how Reese was acting. Like she's almost in heat for really long periods of time. She started a new behavior of rumbling absolutely everybody for weeks and weeks on end. And it actually kind of upset Angus a bit. She was being really snippy with him, which normally she's not. And she was rumbling Annie when Annie would come up to the bars, and when the herd was over here, she was rumbling them. Like she was just acting very hormonal. And the biggest concern was that it was upsetting Angus. He's a sensitive man. And she was being so pushy with him, and there was some squawking and like tussles. Not like they were going to actually have a full-on fight, but she was pushing him around quite a bit, and I felt bad for him because he was getting quite upset. So at some point when the world goes back to normal, I will look into getting her spayed, because I think it's going to benefit her greatly. Because obviously if she's acting all hormonal and different than her usual personality, you know, that's stressful for her. And if one day I ever want to try bonding all four of these guys together again, she would have to have no hormones so that we aren't having any arguments. But first, obviously, I just have to see if these two can go back together. We'll just see how things go. But for now, things are good over here. And everybody else in the herd is doing well, knock on wood. I just had Velvy out for her little feet and hernia check, and she's doing great. Reese is doing really well. We just had her nails clipped. Huckman's doing awesome. Where's little Ray? Ray's squished in here. Little Ray had to clip her nails tonight, and she's just a little beast. So it comes and goes whether she'll let me clip her nails or she gets wild. So tonight was one of those wild nights where she goes after your fingers and she would rip them off. She can be just absolutely crazy. So it took a little bit to get her nails clipped tonight. It wasn't the most fun. And Pecan's doing really well. So Butter Pecan next month is going to be 6.5. So she's still super active and lively, eating great. Just love that little lady. So that's positive. But yeah, besides Apple, everything's pretty decent. I will be happy to get her home, and hopefully we have things sorted out, and hopefully we can come up with something that's going to help her not make stones again. It's so up in the air of what causes stones. I think all pigs are different for what their reasoning is. So it's one of those things that quite possibly you never know. So for Apple, some key things it could be is she's not the most active pig. She's definitely a pig who likes to lay and sleep a lot in the same spots for long periods of time. And she's also not a pig who I see drink a ton compared to the other pigs. So these could all be factors that contribute to her bladder not being emptied properly. So my vet had said their bladder is basically like a snow globe. So any sediment or calcium you know, sits on the bottom naturally. And when they're up and they're active, you know, it's kind of shaking up. So if they're an active pig, it's shaking up, and when they're peeing it all out. Where if they're not a very active pig, they're not going to be peeing out all the contents. And then it just takes the right pH levels, I guess, for the calcium and the carbonate to form together, and you got stones. So, but it's kind of hard for me to make her be more active. And she's definitely a pig where I've tried to give her more water, and if she doesn't want what you're giving her, she's the type of pig that will just let it pour out of her mouth. So she's very difficult in that sense. She's not very easygoing when she doesn't want to do things. She's a little bit stubborn, which I don't mind. She's sweet as pie though otherwise. So yeah, like, I mean, they have the biggest cage possible. She has so many friends, so there's no reasons for her not to be super active. It's just, obviously that's who she is. Look at Miss Velvy. Miss Velvy always has a green chin. Well, kind of like her chest is always green from all the veggie juice. You always look like a mess, don't you, Miss Velvy? I just love that girl. She's so sweet. I always refer to Velvy as my little gentle giant. She's a huge pig, but like when you're handling her, she's just like a little baby doll. She's so sweet. Aren't you, Miss Velvy? You're just the cutest thing ever. I just love seeing her with all the other pigs and happy. What's on the menu, Tubbies? Some pellets? You little cutie. Alright guys, so that's what's happening in the piggy room right now. There's always something. Always, always, always something. And it's times like these that just remind me of why I only want 10 pigs. Well, eventually I'd like to naturally have less. Can you guys see Autumn's feet? So she has a gray foot on the left and her pink foot on the right, and they're sticking up. So I think ideally for pig numbers, I'd be more comfortable maybe at 6. We'll see what happens. As I said, it would just be natural that I would decrease the population. And one day, maybe like just this entire cage would be for 6 pigs only. And perhaps then I would be able to have cage cleanings just once a week instead of twice a week. But that's far out because, you know, these piggies here, all the 4 of these guys are still fairly young. Yeah, these are just random thoughts I have. It's just because I'm feeling overwhelmed that sometimes I think, wow, 10 pigs is a lot of upkeep. But then I also have, you know, some piggies with chronic issues or things that I have to pay attention to that make it a little bit harder. But that's what happens. The more pigs you get, the more potential for problems you can have. Such is life, isn't it? Alright guys, I'm done rambling. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!
If you like watching guinea pig videos, learning how to care for us, seeing product hauls or reviews, or really anything else guinea pig, please subscribe and make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. Down below I've left 2 more videos for you to pick from, so keep on watching.